All right. So in today's Whiteboard Wednesday, I wanted to talk about the idea of how to listen well. And it principally comes from this question of either when you are interacting with someone on your team or even actually a customer or whatever it may be, and you know that they are coming in with an idea. So either that idea is, it could be a disagreement, it could be, and actually the more stressful the situation, the more this principle applies. It could just be a new idea. It could be something that is like performance review related, right? Whatever it may be. So there's an idea that's going to be received that then you're going to react to it and then you have to like do something about it. So a really good example or like a common example of this is, some sort of internal debate between you and a colleague or someone on your team, right, depending on the situation, where that person, you know that walking into that conversation, that person is going to suggest something that you may not agree with. And I think that a lot of times what people do is that walking into that conversation, they have already planned what the reaction is going to be because they already have an idea that there's like some sort of disagreement, right? And I actually think that the the key thing to listening well is that these three buckets need to be separated. And so whatever it is that the person is coming in to share, my number one suggestion is to allow for that to happen separate from these two things. So much so that actually, when I was first trying to get better at this skill, I used to set up separate meetings. So specifically, what I used to do is I used to say, hey, in this first meeting, I only want you to tell me what it is that you're thinking. And my job is like truly only to understand what it is that you're thinking. And I'm not allowed to react to it. And we'll set up a different time, like 2 to 3 days later, where upon me hearing the idea and listening and understanding to it, I will share my reaction to it. And then separate from that, in a different meeting, we can talk about execution, or in a different context, we can talk about execution. And so what that did was it set it up such that in this idea meeting, I could actually get all of I could get information like what are the assumptions that the person made that led to this idea? What is the context? Like because we spent the time to really grapple with the idea really got its full due in terms of the understanding around it. And then actually, I mean, sometimes I would keep the same reaction, sometimes I would change my reaction because now I had new information, right? And so, and then separating it by 2 to 3 days allowed for that idea to sit in my head in a way in which, I mean, I'm still human, so it's like I'm still gonna have biases, I'm still gonna want to be right and all the normal stuff that comes along with that. But the 2 to 3 day period allowed it to live on its own in a way in which at least started to reduce those biases, right? And then I could actually have a more honest reaction to it. And then after that, I could have a more honest execution against it. And I find that these like little tactics of like separating the meetings, of like understanding which part of this chain you're actually in, allows you to actually listen well in the situations where you need to do that or where there's a lot of upside from doing that. And those high upside situations tends to actually be the two things that I started this Whiteboard Wednesday with, which is either your teammates or your customers, right? Of whatever type. And so, yeah, anyway, this is just a framework that I hope is helpful. And again, the little tactic or tip is just set up different meetings, and it'll force you to separate the things instead of, listening and reacting in the same meeting. All right, see you all in the next one.